Welcome to the Family Office, planning for the people who matter most.
If it's like, even if it's a reputable brand, right? Like for example, even if you're looking at like Atkins stuff and things like that, always got to check the ingredients. And even if you are like already like trusting that brand, or you already eat other things from that brand, doesn't necessarily mean that everything else they have is good. And that's kind of like the trick.
That's very true. That's very true. It's funny that you say that, because I saw somewhere recently where they were showing the ingredients for particular brands, like very well-known brands. Like if you look at cornflakes or any type of food that's processed, if you look at their ingredients back in the 1940s, sugar, salt, flour, wheat, oats, and now it's monopolysaturated, blah, 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 And so to your point, you're absolutely right. Reading those labels are critical.
There's an Instagram account. I don't know the name of it. I'm not going to mention it, but there's an Instagram account, and there's probably one on YouTube too, and X and all of them, and Relevant, that actually shows you, like, for example, Chips Ahoy from the 1980s, even in the packaging, and it shows you the ingredients, and then it shows you Chips Ahoy today, and then the packaging, and you look at it and you go, holy shit, man.
What just happened? Right.
And
I may have seen that same one.
You look at all of them and the ingredients are like 4X. It's just wild. The ingredients become 4X. Yeah. And not only that, the ingredients that used to be in there aren't in there anymore, or some of the stuff where it's like, you could just see the cost cutting.
High fructose corn syrup just took over.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Lower costs, more addictive, and it's more potent.
Oh, yeah. And then
it's funny because when I was younger, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, when I was younger, day-old bread was really a thing. Like if you didn't eat the bread or buy it from the store from that day, it's going to get moldy within 2 or 3 days. But now with all of the preservatives and the additives that are around, you can leave bread and it'll get dry before it gets moldy. That's a problem, considering that one of its main ingredients is supposed to be yeast.
Yeah. Whenever you see
food, let that sink in.
Whenever you see food that doesn't spoil like that, you're like, damn, bro, that's just wild. And they sneaked it in. Like celery salt is really like monosodium glutamate. It's just a hidden word for it. And like just the way like modified food starch or modified cornstarch spikes your blood sugar worse than sugar. Like you can eat a tablespoon of sugar and get less of a glucose spike and an insulin reaction, versus if you eat like something healthy that has modified food starch or modified cornstarch in it. It's absolutely just crazy to me. And then people eat it. And then the fake crap that comes out like today is so irritating. I was watching, and they put this Asian looking Harvard cardiologist on YouTube, and he's like, oh, this study shows that intermittent fasting, if you intermittent fast for 14 or 16 hours, you're increasing your likelihoods of cardiovascular disease by 60 to 90%. I'm going, what a horse shit study. All of a sudden you're going to say it, because why? Because intermittent fasting has become so popular now since like 2019, 2018. And all these people are doing it, having excellent health effects of it. And they're going, crap, what are we going to do? We better figure this problem out now that people are understanding that this works. And I'm thinking to myself, that is so horse crap, because people intermittent fast and ate less because of food shortages naturally, and because of financial shortages to buy food. And cavemen didn't eat. Cavemen would go 3 or 4 days sometimes without eating. And then that goes contrary to the data that states, cardiovascular diseases. It's just such a bunch of crap, dude. It's just so crap to me. And then they put the stuff out there, and then they go, oh, but you know what? It only looked at self-reported dieting habits for like 1 to 2 years. I'm going,
right,
bro,
right. Taking anecdotal evidence and making these vast claims, which flies in the face of how traditional research is really supposed to happen. So speaking of,
and since we're talking about it, because there's no one to benefit from it more than the pharmaceutical companies. But all of a sudden, the absolute crazy rise in GLP-1s, Ozempic, Wegovy, all of these things now where people literally, you can go on a social media style website and package up like even Weight Watchers. You can go to Weight Watchers. I don't know if you know that or not, and go and get Wegovy or GLP-1. So it's crazy that everybody is now, we're going to talk about intermittent fasting, how bad that is. But yeah, we're going to, in this stupid study, but then we're going to go and tell everybody to go get on an artificial GLP-1 so that you stop eating. So essentially you trick your body into intermittent fasting anyway, so you stop eating. You basically put yourself into a dormant step. So Len, I know you time constrict eat. I think you do. I think you intermittent fast often. I know you do water fasts. I've been fasting since 2016. I remember 2016 was when I did my first 5-day fast cleanse where I didn't do anything. I ate nothing, just water and like fiber that tasted like sawdust. It was disgusting. I'll never do that again. But what's your perspective now? Because there's a lot of good doctors and good nutritionists and dietitians that are on YouTube and out there that are legitimate, that have been saying that, talking about the benefits of fasting and talking about the benefits of, time constriction, that are totally telling you all the negative things now. And not just them, there's a lot of them in regards to the effects of taking a GLP-1 or Wegovy. But what's your perspective on it now? Since now it's just like you have a legal, way to just go be fat and then not have to do anything about it. You could just take a shot, which is what everybody's been trying to get since the 80s anyways, right?
Right, exactly. Everybody wants the pill that's easy to get results. One thing that there's an old adage that's cliche, but it's still true, which is follow the money. And so when I look at what's going on with Ozempic and Wegovy, I think what's happening is that when you have studies that suggest intermittent fasting doesn't work, why? Because there's no money to be made on that. And when you look at studies that talk about nutritional or naturopathic doctors being quack doctors and it hasn't been regulated by the FDA, the reason why that is because the doctors and the pharmaceutical industry, they're in bed with each other. And so because of that, there's lots of money to be made by going through these processes to approve certain drugs because billions and billions of dollars are made. And typically from the day a drug gets discovered, there's a 7-day window in which it takes to get tested and FDA approved. And then from there, once it's approved, then you typically have a 7-year window where they can sell it under that name until it becomes generic. Once it becomes generic, then you start to realize all of these regulations start slipping away and all of these prescriptions start to fade into the distance because they become generic. And so that's one part of it. The other part of it is that the pharmaceutical industry feasts on the psychology of the lowest common denominator. And what I mean by that is that you have a small segment of our population that are super disciplined. You give them an idea, they'll run with it and maximize that idea to its nth degree. But you have a large number of people who really want that silver bullet. They want that easy way out. And so they really feast, pun intended, on the victim mentality of give me what I want. Let me just jab myself so I don't have to worry about starving. And so what's the net negative of that? Well, the net negative of that is when I jab myself and I end up in a position where parts of my stomach starts to start dying and not, taking my food and properly digesting it. What ends up happening is that food sits there and becomes rancid. And now I start to have gut issues. And now my breath starts to stink. And long term, I end up having all of these gastrointestinal issues, and I start to feel nauseous all the time. And so what ends up happening is most people get off within 1 to 3 years. And then after that time period ends, then, their face, goes from being super saggy, and they end up gaining much more weight than they had before. So you have all of these issues that happen. And these doctors, there are a few doctors finally that are saying, look, this is not a long-term solution because of the gastrointestinal challenges that happens inside of your body. And so many people are willing to say, you know what? Oh, that's probably those people over there. Now, because we're so desensitized, because, in Europe, you can't do pharmaceutical commercials. And I think one of the biggest issues that I have with commercials that promote these different pharmaceutical pills and all of these things is because it now desensitizes me to what the side effects are. And so now when you hear, kidney issues and liver issues and possible side effects include, nausea and potential death because of blood issues and concerns and with the gastrointestinal tract. If I'm hearing this over and over and over again, when I hear it the first time, it's like, oh my gosh, like that could happen. And then over time, we start to rationalize it. And so ultimately, Chris, I say that we need to get more naturopathic doctors into the public zeitgeist, talking about the importance of good, wholesome, proper nutrition. And we need to also make sure that we get the stories out more quickly about the negative effects that these different types of drugs cause on people, because when we don't hear about it enough, we become desensitized and we think that it'll never happen to us.
I just can't help but wonder the long-term psychological effects of continually conditioning people to think that they don't have to have self-discipline for stuff. And that's the thing that scares me the most, is because we just constantly just making it easier and easier and easier and easier and easier for people, because the real reason why you are able to either go from being, and if most, no one would know unless you knew, but I remember at one point I was 224 pounds. I mean, I weigh 168 pounds today as we record this.
Wow.
And that'll goes down to
that's a big difference.
That's a huge difference. I'm 5'10". Like, that's a huge difference. Yeah. That's just not right. And you even knew me. You worked with me when I was that weight. Like, you did.
I don't remember you at 224. I would never have guessed it.
You would have never guessed it. I'm just one of those people that I don't get fat in one area. I get fat everywhere. So for me, my body, I'm wide. So I get fat everywhere. It doesn't just, a lot of guys will just get fat in their stomach, right? You see guys and they get this big belly and their legs are tiny, right? And that's not how it is for me.
I mean, I remember when you were heavier for sure. I definitely remember that. Yeah. And I remember when you went through your transformation, it was because I stopped seeing you every day. So I remember seeing the snapshots, and I remember, Chris, you really lost quite a bit, but I never knew you were 220, because the highest I've gotten is like 205. But now I'm typically between 169 and 174. You
find what's good for you. You actually find that weight. No, it was 2014, 2015. I was at my unhealthiest I'd ever been in my life. I was just so unhealthy. I was eating like nonstop. I was eating nonstop, and I was eating crap, and I was eating late, as it was the nature of just on the road, go, no time, everything. And then I remember in that point, I was, because of business, I ended up, not doing, or I ended up changing just simply because of my schedule. And then all of a sudden I made that decision in 2017, and it all went from there. And then during COVID, I had to realign that again, because COVID, it just was, you were eating crap again, because you're just, again, we were in the office nonstop, and it was just stuff coming, like Uber Eats. I remember for like 2 or 3 years, I was an Uber Eats Platinum member, because I was like, I order Uber Eats 2 or 3 times a day. And then it was like, ooh, gross. And then right around 2022, I really started, end of 2022, beginning of 2023, I really started to reevaluate everything again. And then I started, really seeing homeopathic doctors and holistic doctors and executive exams and getting into all of that. And then going, oh my God, like you could start tweaking your numbers. Like you can really look at what you like, for example, 42% or something like that of people that eat avocados, it actually is not as beneficial for them as it should be. 42%. Just like 47% of people, it's beneficial for them to eat red meat and they don't eat it. So that's finding the science of your body and finding what works for you based on genetics. And it's so simple and cost effective to do. But I can't help but wonder just the psychological effect of this. But here's why I want to turn it a little bit, because I think it's interesting to look at this, because we were having this conversation about Wegovy in my household, and I was having this conversation with my kids, and I don't disagree with the fact that you could buy Wegovy. I don't. I think you ought to be able to. I think it's great. You should be, just like I think you should be able to buy cigarettes. I think you should, because that's a true choice system, right? But at the same time, you also, and that's the part we can't figure out, right? Which is, well, how do we pay for someone's compounding mistakes, right? How do we pay for the guy who's got, who's 700 pounds now and is now a social problem or a social drain? That's the problem that always gets that conundrum, because whenever the government tries to restrict something or tell you can't do something, that's where it becomes a problem. And I think that ultimately that's where the pharmaceutical industry becomes such a problem too, is because the government, anytime the government gets their hands in stuff and starts to regulate and things like that, then the government starts making money off of it. And case in point, the government allowed the cigarette companies in the 70s to put a lot of crap in the cigarettes. They allowed them to. Just like today, the government allows people to really sell organic crap, but it's really not organic. Right? Oh, it's because it fits a certain language. And that's just where you see the lawyers get in, right? Right? And that's where you see the lawyers
they exercise all the loopholes. Yeah,
let me see how to twist the language, right? And create technicalities, right? And I think that just where people need to really just look at it is just, and there's so many apps now. Like you can get an app to tell you where to eat at restaurants now where they don't do seed oils. You can get apps to tell you the best dairy. There's so many ways to do it. And I think that the problem though is that the government gets too heavily involved in these drugs, and they should just be regulating it to a sense where, is it actually killing people? Like, yes, it is, but is it criminal? Like, there's just something there where it's just, you got it. Like, I know pure libertarians look at even legalizing all drugs. I don't know where I'm at with that yet. I'm kind of more on the fence of yes, but to me, I think it's a shame because we're just allowing people to profit from it. Maybe there's a restriction on how long you can be on Wegovy. I don't know, because maybe some people do need it. Maybe there are certain cases where you do need it, but at the same time, I think about the psychological effects of not being disciplined with it. Like, I want to go eat pasta right now, but I won't eat it. I'll eat a couple bites of it, but I just won't eat it. I won't eat pasta because I'm so conditioned now in my brain, and discipline in my brain now, where I'm just like, I ain't eating that crap. There's just absolutely no way. There's just no way. Yeah. Because you get up every day and you go, damn, I just want to feel good, right? I don't want brain fog. I don't want achy joints. I don't want to be sluggish. I want to have drive. Even some days you don't want to have drive. Yes, there are some days where you're like, dang it, I just wish I didn't have such drive. I don't want to do nothing today. But at the same time, I want to get up and feel that way. And then when I look at cohorts in our age group, mid-50s, mid-40s, that complain about the stuff that they complain about, I sit sometimes and I go, dang, I must be doing something right because I don't have those problems. And then I go, oh, that's right. I don't eat that shit. And I do 150 push-ups every day. And I do those things before I get, and I try to eat vegetables and fiber before I eat anything else after I break a fast. Like you start doing these things, and then all of a sudden you go, yeah, there's really not a need to take a Wegovy shot, because I didn't need a Wegovy shot. I didn't. I could have, But now, I mean, I intermittent fasted, I calorie restricted, I low carb. I figured out that my body does very good in a keto environment. And then I incorporate a lot of vegetables and seeds. I mean, I live off of a keto Mediterranean paleo diet is what I survive off of. And that's the key thing. Can you survive off of it on a day-to-day basis? Can you survive on it? Not just, I feel good and I'm getting the macros I need, but psychologically,
but people can't make money off of disciplined people like you.
Yes,
and eat well.
Yeah.
So you would have the pharmaceutical industry broke because you take care of your body and you go to the doctor and you check your numbers and you eat well and you exercise and you drink water and you don't consume large amounts of alcohol and you exercise the discipline that the country has given you to make your own informed decisions as an adult, but they don't make any money off of you. And so therein lies the problem, is that if more people were like you, there'd be a lot more pharmaceutical companies in the poorhouse because you don't make the money. You know, like, think about it. The American Heart Association, Muscular Dystrophy Association, all of these other places, they make money because they know at the end of the day, there's going to be somebody impacted. Because if there was a cure for cancer, those entities would cease to exist. And so it's really sad, man. And I hope that you really can, be a light for other people that were once living a certain way and serve as inspiration, man. And, and we need to have more examples like that, pure and simple.
But isn't that what everyone wants?
What do you think is going to be the long term? What'd you say?
I said, isn't that what everybody wants? Don't they want the utopian? Don't they want that? Isn't that what all these people are fighting in the streets for and everything right now? To have peace, love, and harmony and nobody gets sick? Like, isn't that what we were fighting for? Like,
man, that is the ideal. But the reality, as you know, man, is we want our cake and we want to eat it too, man. And we want to stay skinny and eat the cake as well. And, you can't have both. Well, you can with Ozempic if you take some cake and then do the jab. What do you think is going to be the long-term effect of it? What do you think is going to happen 5-10 years from now?
I don't think it's going to be that negative, and here's the reason why. If we were talking about this 20 years ago, I'd say, it's going to be a very negative. But I think we're at a point right now that we've reached peptide therapy and hormonal therapies and things like that are going to become so mainstream now that they're going to figure out a way to adjust this kind of stuff, where we are not too far off from being able to, I would say we're probably within 50 years or less of being able to do whatever the hell you want to trash your body, and you're going to pop a pill and you're going to be good. So I don't think I don't think it's going to be that long-term of effect. I don't.
Interesting. I disagree. I think what's going to happen is that, because my premise is that there's no free lunches, and the way that God designed our bodies is it's designed to exert energy. And because it exerts energy, you stay in homeostasis. You stay fit. If you treat your body that way, and if you mistreat your body is not going to treat you well long term. I believe, though, to your point, that there will continue to be different wonder drugs that maybe short term extend the quality of life, but I think long term, I think your body keeps the score, and no matter what you do to tweak it, we're never going to be able to completely get to the point where we can eat what we want and take something and still look good and feel good and all that. I just don't think it's going to last long.
I agree with you with that. I agree with you in that regard. I agree with you in that regard, in the fact that you're absolutely right. Yes, I think the negative side effect of it is going to be that you're going to see people that are going to be very optimized, and they're going to see people that are not optimized. And what I mean by that is, even today, you could see it. You can see it where, especially if you look at a male, especially males. Males, I think, are more, I don't want to say females aren't, but I want to say a lot of stuff today affects, we don't really see a lot of the effects, more so maybe the mental health of it on the female side of things, I think. I don't know where I'm at with that on that, but I definitely seems like more of the stuff today is deafening or is detrimental to men than it is to females. I know the underwear stuff, the polyesters, the forever chemicals are equally as bad, but I mean like in a sense where you see a lot, and maybe it's the mental health side of things for women, but I know for men, when you see a guy that's mid-40s or mid-50s in our age group, and you can tell if they still got it or not, meaning they still have masculine features. There are a lot of men in their 40s and in their 50s and even in their 30s today that just don't look masculine anymore. And it's not that they don't look masculine because they're not masculine. It's just that their hormonal system, their endocrine system is so screwed up from all the crap. So you're absolutely right, because, and I say this a lot too, because I used to take a ton of supplements, and as I've gotten better at it, I take it down because I want to get zinc, iron, boron, potassium, magnesium, all of these things. I want to get them, CoQ10, omega-3s. I want to get them through pathway and through metabolic pathway as much as I possibly can. As much as I possibly can. Now, I supplement creatine heavily. I supplement beef organs heavily. And I supplement garlic, and I supplement berberine very heavily. Those are like my big heavies right now. And I've noticed that has alone, like, I'm going to say something weird today. It was so strange. I was telling my wife today, I said, and you know me, Len, my hair has always been thin on the top since you've known me, but is my hair like growing right now? And I swear to God, I was like, this is so bizarre. And it's just, if you can optimize through metabolic pathways as much as you can, that's where you're going to see that even crazier, I think, with the advent of peptide therapy and all these things that have become mainstream, because you're going to see very crisp people, and you're going to see people that are, they have it, they're good, but really they're not, because they're just propping themselves up on artificial, enhancements. Because you even see it today, because when you look at people that optimize longevity therapies today, they're so crisp. They're just like, when you see a low carb eater or a keto person, you can tell they're keto. You can tell their body just looks so much more healthier, and it just looks dialed in. Women too. When women are on keto, when women are on a keto diet and a high protein diet with vegetables and Mediterranean all mixed in, the women look more healthier too. Your body just looks healthier when you time constrict eat, and you eat Mediterranean, paleo, keto. It just always does. You just glow. You have different energy, your mental capacity. There's just so many benefits to it. You're right. That's the effect that you'll see long term. You'll see it'll be more of the haves and the have-nots with it, is really what it'll be.
Definitely.
In regards to health and stuff.
And so with that being said, guys, ladies, Republicans, Democrats, let's just get along, man. Let's just find ways to be more harmonious. So in the month of February, let's find ways, because love is always more powerful than hate.
That's it. Len, have a great one. I'll see you.
You too, brother.
Bye.
Conversation has given you clarity on your next steps. Please share this episode with someone who's walking the same path. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. And remember, planning ahead isn't just prudent, it's an act of care. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on The Family Office.